Mary and Paul arrived at the pearly gates in heaven. St. Peter welcomed Mary and Paul and told them he would take them to their mansion. He asked them to step gently onto a gold streaked escalator, which would literally transport them to their new home. Upon arrival, Mary and Paul were in awe of the beauty and the size of their new home. St. Peter opened the front door and suggested they follow him on a tour. The living room was huge. Paul looked out the window and saw a gorgeous golf course. Paul loves playing golf. St. Peter explained that every other day the golf course changed, so Paul would never get tired or bored playing that course. Mary spoke up and told St. Peter she loved the beach. St. Peter invited Mary into the spacious family room. When Mary looked out the window, she saw a gorgeous beach. The sand was clean, the water calm, crystal clear. St. Peter then led them into the dining room with table after table of various foods, delicacies, including multiple desserts. St. Peter explained that the food would always be fresh. He also told them they could eat as much as they wanted because the food was 0 calories. 0. Paul gazed upon the foods and then turned to his wife and said, "Mary, look at all this food. If you hadn't fed me that Mediterranean diet and all that fiber and roughage, I could have been here 20 years earlier." Ah, the joys of the heaven to come, and what we think heaven may be. Pastor Dale preached some Sundays ago on the text from John chapter 14, where Jesus talks about going to prepare a place for us. Jesus says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. I am going there to prepare a place for you." The King James Version says, "In my Father's house are many mansions." A different translation says, "In my Father's house there are many dwelling places." We Christians like to focus on what our room, our mansion, our dwelling place may be like. Now, we all want a mansion. Our imagination goes wild visualizing what our mansion will look like. I agree with Pastor Dale that I would prefer a mansion rather than just a room or a dwelling place. However, our primary focus should be this important truth. Jesus assures you, and Jesus assures me, that we have placed in God's house for every one of us. Pastor Bill Booknight writes, "In my Father's house are many abiding places." The old King James Version says, "many mansions." But the word mansion conveys opulence, wealth, to the modern mind. I think Jesus was simply trying to say there would be room for everybody who's claimed Jesus as Savior and as Lord. The pastor also affirms, "Isn't it ironic? When the Son of God came to earth, there was no room for him in the Bethlehem Inn. But when we get to heaven, we don't have to worry about any no vacancy signs. We all have a place with Jesus in God's house."